Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings from my home here in Texas, where I've been for the past few days. In fact, I bring you greetings from my kitchen and gathering at my kitchen table. As we continue the conference ministry theme of gathering at our table, the past weekend, the Western Association spring meeting and at the Eastern Association spring meeting, my presentation to both of those was in keeping with this conference ministry theme, gathering at our table, of generosity. And a part of what I talked about was the celebration of money in our churches and in our conference, and that too often we approach money in our churches from a place of either let's only talk about it when we need to beg people to help pay our bills, or when we're talking about budget, but instead, the way that we should talk about it and celebrate it is from generosity, and to say thank you to those who have been inspired to be generous, and in celebrating the ways in which our church and our conference and the United Church of Christ widens the welcome in making a difference. In the UCC, no matter where we are, if we are in rural areas of Arkansas and Missouri, or if we are in urban areas of Memphis and St. Louis and Kansas City, that the beauty of the UCC and how we are making a difference is our extravagant hospitality, whether that is through the wonderful food that is shared in our evangelical churches in rural areas, or it's the way that justice is offered and expressed in our open and affirming and just peace churches. This is the point in our belief and mission of how we are called to make a difference. At our Western Association meeting, in the time when we were supposed to kind of give reports, our host church at Immanuel in New Franklin, what they inspired in their generosity was to say that when the offering would be taken, normally it's given to the host church, and that they would like to give it away to be generous. And our Marshallese brothers and sisters from JRD, who rode 5 hours to get to the Western Association meeting, they led us in this wonderful dance where we went around the sanctuary and we celebrated our generosity together. And it was this impromptu, not even a part of the worship service, that people started giving their money, and we collected and raised money that would go to OCWM, which connects with what I say in my presentation, that we as a people, God has created us to be generous, and that too often in the local church, we don't inspire that generosity that God created us with. Instead, we inspire duty, obligation, which is okay, except when we kind of frame it in a either, oh, you've got to give because you're supposed to, or the sky is falling, we've got to pay bills, oh my goodness, you've got to help and give, or else we're not going to be able to accomplish anything or pay our bills. And that's not a good way to function or survive or thrive in generosity either. In your e-courier, you will see the presentation that I offered at both of the annual or the spring meetings of the association meetings, and I have recorded my voice. It's probably about a 20 to 30 minute recording with the presentation, so that those who were there can take notes, and those who were not, or those in the St. Louis Association, can enjoy some of the information that I offer as well. A lot of it is coming from the writings of the author Cliff Christopher, especially in his seminal book, Not Your Parents' Offering Plate, which is a phenomenal book about stewardship and that transition to generosity and how we should inspire generosity, especially in modeling and learning from our nonprofit organizations. We in the Missouri Mid-South Conference have a number of nonprofit organizations through the CHISM, or Council for Health and Human Service organizations, that can model for us how to inspire generosity in people in helping them see how we make a difference. From Emmaus Homes to Every Child's Hope to Deaconess Foundation and Joint Neighborhood Ministries, our CHISM organizations know how to tell their story of how their organization and how the UCC is making a difference. My hope and my prayer is that we will learn from that, so that as we gather at our table of generosity, that we can shift from talking only about stewardship of how do we pay the bills, how do we keep the church building open, to how do we inspire the generosity that is already there? How do we, like our Marshallese brothers and sisters who teach us how to be spontaneous in the Spirit and how to be communal in inspiring generosity that's already within us, not because we have to, but because God has created us as generous people. This is what we are called to do and talk about in terms of money. Money that we have been given and the responsibility from which we are called by God to be generous, whether that is in our local church and our CHISM organizations and the Missouri Mid-South Conference and the United Church of Christ. Thanks be to the divine generosity giver that we have many, many opportunities to live out our generosity. So as we gather together, whether we are in rural settings or urban, whether we are evangelical or Marshallese or African American or open and affirming and just peace, we may know and sense and give that God's love inspires us to make a difference in the world and to be generous with all of who we are, this day and forevermore. Amen.